All right, what's up, y'all? Just got out of ice bath. That's why I'm in a jacket, and it is June. It's cold in the AC, but finally getting around to this gigantic of a video, and I'm assuming April is going to be the same, but this is March of 2025. This video started out at over 2.5 hours to edit down the footage, so this one's a long one. It's going to be in the 40-something minute range, so a lot of video, and I cut some extra sets of stuff out, but I'm going to obviously voice over the training. Was actually a really good month of training for me. Body was good, training's going good. So let's jump right into it. I'm not going to talk much longer, just this little 1-minute intro. If you guys are new here, please subscribe to the channel to get notifications of when I'm putting stuff out. It's kind of fun to watch things up and down. And right now we're in a growing phase. Things are going awesome. So thank you guys for all the support here on the channel. Let's jump into training. All right, let's jump into it. So this is actually Sunday, March 2nd. I think I went ahead and put March 1st in the last video, if I remember right, doing some front squats at the firehouse. But here we are with hip snatches, 4 sets of 2 up to 86 kilos, whatever the pound weight is for that. As I mentioned in the last video, if you happen to watch it, one of the things I've noticed that's gone a little awry is my overhead mobility, specific in the snatch. And that's where you can see how much I struggle here in the depths of this these snatches. It's really just trying to work mobility more than the weight. The weight's not crazy, but working that hip position, hopefully getting something out of that, being fast and explosive, and really just trying to get the mobility back, that thoracic mobility, the lat mobility, etc. Now, this is something that is actually, this day was like a freaking great day, especially the day after front squats. I don't know how or why it felt and went so well. But this was paused beltless back squats. And I know part of it was because I cut the volume down a little bit. But paused beltless high bar here up to 285 pounds. And I cut out the rest of it. Weighted pull-ups here, 12.96 with 20 pounds. So nothing special other than, yes, big guys, you can add some weight to some pull-ups and do the best you can with them. Start with low reps. Build up your volume with lower reps and more sets, and then jump into doing some weighted. You'll be surprised how much, not a lot of weight, so 20 pounds is less than 10% of my body weight, makes a huge difference in pull-ups and how it'll move things around. We're going to jump forward a few days here. This is Tuesday. So on March 3rd at work, I actually walked for an hour, and then this is March 4th. We've got some fulls, and this actually was a very good day. With the 49 full, I went 41 feet, so 41.73 in the weights between this and the lightweight. So very good to be hitting those numbers early season. It's about the best I've been prior to any sort of injury at March of the season. So I'm hoping that means that by later in the year, I can find my way back up a little bit higher. I actually, speaking of seeing this, one of the things I want to start doing is looking back a little bit to my best year, which was 2022, numbers specific wise, my last AM year, before I messed up my quad, and then last year was still quad messing with me a little bit, but also a groin strain. Consistency is better, but the peaks aren't as high. So I've got to kind of look at some of that with my throwing and my training, which I'm very proud of. The way that I am as a thrower is I am a very consistent thrower. If those that have not followed me forever, you know what I throw, you know I'm pretty good for what I throw. I'm good for it come games. You kind of know exactly where I'm going to fall. I'm not a flash in the pan typically. I tend to throw what you'd expect me to throw. So here in the low 70s in the weight, that's pretty typical. So every practice, I'm probably going to throw in the low 70s in the lightweight. The 49, I don't have as great a numbers in that. I know I've thrown in the low 40s. I don't think I've ever hit like 44, maybe 43 with the 49 personally. And I've been playing with the short chain and the long chain 49, trying to see if I can get a correlation to like, oh, I threw it, so I can throw the 56 X far. So if I throw, let me just use this. If I throw the 49 40 feet, can I throw the 56 36, 37, or 38 feet? Can I figure out, oh, if I have a good 49, what does it mean for my 56? So I don't have to always throw the 56 to know what I'll get out of it. Now we have another really good weightlifting day. Snatch high pull plus low hang snatch. 4 sets up to 112 kilos. That's very good for yours truly. for me, really, at this point, snatching over 110, any sort of consistency is pretty dang good in my book for me. So, and then we had some power cleans, some behind the neck jerks, and some back squats. So this was like a major day. And that's because this week was cut short as I go to Florida at the end of this week for a wedding. My wife's brother, so now brother-in-law, got married in Florida, and it was, man, an awesome time. Really good to see a lot of my wife's family that we don't get to see as often anymore. So, you know, if that's the one thing I do try to make myself do, and that is suck it up, and I move in combined days. So this was a marathon day in the gym, having snatches, cleans, jerks, and squats, and then a strongman medley after it. So we're coming up with that here. You saw the end of 140 kilo power cleans. And so that's something that, you know, kind of going back to same with the throwing, is my lifting, honestly, has been very good and very consistent through this off season, through 2025 so far. And one thing I'm trying to figure out is, how do I push the peaks a little higher? I'm finding very good consistency, and I'm finding higher consistency at higher numbers. If I'd say between now and right now, recording this voiceover, it is June 4th, I've done more lightweight throws over 70 feet in a 6-month period than I ever have. I've done more power cleans over 140 kilos. I've done more squats over 400 pounds. And here is a cool little medley. A 225 per hand farmers is what I worked up to, with a 225 sandbag. So a little bit of condition, a little strongman work, stuff like that. But, you know, and I don't think I have any more training this week of this footage. Like I said, I quit videoing at the firehouse as much. The Charlotte firehouses end up being a little bit more crowded because we get multiple guys in there, versus at the part-time at Wesley Chapel, I may be the only one in there, which is why you get more footage of me there. But here's your back squats. So a set of 4 at 200 kilos at 440, and then 2 sets of 2 at 180 down sets. And then these glute ham sit-ups, you'll see these for a while in my training. Really like how they're feeling. But like I said, really getting a lot of consistency higher, but I'm looking for the translation into bigger and better throws, and consistently bigger and better throws. So just because the weight room's going perfect doesn't mean that everything else is. Here's Monday the 10th. So yeah, we skipped forward, did some bench, nothing crazy. Finishing that block, move up to front squats, sets of 4-4-3-3, was gassed first day back with 170 kilos. But that's pretty damn good for yours truly, 170 kilos for a 4-4-3-3. Once again, don't know if I've ever done that amount of volume ever at 170 kilos. So stoked with that. Here is snatch pull plus power snatch, so not the full snatch now. 4 doubles, actually dropped it down. So a little fatigue coming back from Florida, just being out of the loop of things. This is also kind of a deload week to a degree with some of this stuff. Here's back squats, up to 175 kilos, 4x4, and went to a box. So the box kind of gave me a little bit more of a deload, and then messed with Atlas stones. So the cat's out of the bag. I am doing a trip to Scotland this year. Shouldered the 247, was first day touching Atlas stones, had the sleeves on with no tacky, but just trying to protect from tearing my arms up excessively this far away. Don't really need to, but and then did some stone squats, and I don't know what order videos are here, but basically do some squats. So just kind of hold, squat, and back down to the lap, stand back up with it, back down to the lap. I know I've needed a little bit more stonework, and it's hard because it's like, man, I really should train the video a little bit more. This is probably the 247. It looks like a little bit more strain. Oh, yep, here we go. Here's a squat set. So just a squat and extension, working back and legs. Might need to do a lot more of these. I love them. They're killer. I think they're a hell of an accessory. And some inverse curl. So kind of have fallen in love with this machine. I haven't done an actual glute ham in forever. Maybe I should. That might be a new twist in some training, is doing actual glute hams again, where the knees are able to slide. But because I have fallen in love with the inverse curl and been murdering my hamstrings with it. Probably have some sit-ups in here. Oh, we're out of order again. Shoot. I'm sorry. So yeah, when you do, I think it was, I can't remember how many video clips it was. It was like something like 400 something videos. And I need to give myself a little more room there. That's the 247, I'm pretty sure. Bam, there it is. Happy with it. Shoulder and 247. Want to try and push that a little bit more before I get to Scotland. I don't necessarily care about shouldering every stone I do. I really just care about maybe pulling them to the chest and or lift the dennies. And once again, back to these sit-ups because they're freaking awesome. Now, I also threw hammer this day, and this is Tuesday, March 11th, and had a the hammers have trended in the right direction this year. So this was kind of the start. Started with some one winds and was doing like heavy, light. And I did that a lot earlier in the season just because I have 3 hammers. I'd throw heavy, light, heavy, light, heavy, light. Worked up to the one wind 78 foot with the 22, 101 feet with the 16. And then on the fulls, we go to fulls throws here in a minute. Ended up 96, 116, heavy and light. So 96 is a practice throw in March. And that's something I've done a little bit more this year than I ever have in the past, is I've thrown more heavy hammer. I've been a very big proponent of just throwing all light hammer. Got that from some different guys in the past. And this year I said, we'll mix in a little bit more heavy. Always been just a fan of just going with the speed, and it'll transfer. It's not a ton of different weight, and just trying to be Mr. Speedy. But 96 is, I think, pretty damn close to a practice personal best in terms of the heavy hammer. And 116, once again, being early in this year compared to the previous 2, I don't think I saw 110 plus, 112 plus, never in the 110s in my practice throws. So have a lot of faith in some pretty good predictors of hammer performance this year. Now let's jump forward. Took off, had a busy day and some training at work at Wesley Chapel, off day on the 12th, 13th, and 14th. So between 13th and 14th, this is probably the 13th. My shoulder, oh yeah, that's when my right shoulder was on this day. I guess I didn't write down that I did throws. Obviously, we threw wob. Actually, here it is, wob. Cleared 14.6. Actually, this was a great day in wob. I had it written in the wrong spot. One of my best days in wob I've ever had at the gym. So, who knows? Short chain 56, 35 feet. We're throwing freaking awesome in March. Like, heck yeah, let's let this roll and roll into some freaking good stuff this year. 35 in the short chain 56 and 75 in the lightweight. And then I threw sheaf later in the day, obviously when I'd got home. So very happy with those numbers in March. I mean, I've said that already a couple times in this video. Like I said, this training, this off-season block has done really well. And, yeah, well, it looked like a hell of a throw. Oh, they're all out of order, too. Man, I hate when they get out of order. I wonder what kind of lifting footage I have here in a second. I'm intrigued with some of the notes I have here, and I don't want to spoil it. But, and since this is March, since then, I have definitely made some adjustments in technique, a couple little cues I'm working different in these throws. I'm moving so good this day. Probably got good sleep, and I took the day before off, so I need to remember those things. With working a bunch I do as a firehouse, having sleep and having a day off training. That's one thing I've noticed a little bit more is recovery is freaking needed. But I did throw, here we go. We did have hip snatch. So hip power snatch up to 90 kilos. Here's obviously 85. Hip, this is 90 right here, doubles. My right shoulder, I have right shoulder felt meh. So deload on the bench after that, slingshot 308 for 3x3. And now messing around here as I finished the last block with some rear foot elevated split squats. This was a day where I tried with the front foot elevated and the rear foot elevated and just holding kettlebells. This was a 44-pound kettlebell, so 88 total pounds. Working kind of just as big a range of motion as I can. Still, from the nerve stuff in my left leg, it's still weak. I still feel it. It's still atrophied. It's still a lot smaller than my right leg. And here's that slingshot 308 140 kilos for 3x3. Pretty sure I have footage in here from the following day, but let's jump to some sheaf. So I didn't put any of the bottoms up throws in here, and obviously this is me throwing, and you see how far it's going sideways. Well, it was later in the year. I've kind of fixed that a little bit, but a lot of pulling backwards, a lot of pulling sideways, and that's where little cues from different people can help you. So this will be my ad to go throw with other people. Go ask questions from other people. Send your video to people that have said, hey, yeah, send me your stuff. Let me look at it. Be humble enough to try to take some critiques and try different stuff. You never know what cue somebody's going to give you that is going to completely change what you're doing. So this sheaf ladder has worked really well. I've got a lot of crazy feedback on some of the videos I've posted on social media. People calling it a lightning rod, people saying it's stupid. Man, it's worked great for me. I don't leave it extended. I lower it down. So yes, it's still sticking up in the backyard. I don't put it up and down every single day. But something that worked a lot better other than just the guide wires is I had some wooden stakes. Oh, here's the slow-mo video. This is obviously from the social media. This one obviously cleared. On the day, cleared 26.8, which was decent, considering where I'm at this year. So I do have video from this Friday. So this is sandbag. I call it sandbag wob. This is a 60-pound sandbag, and I think I need to just get myself to throw this like 100 times more than I already am. I do 3 sets of 4 on the day, and I suck at standing wob. And I don't know what else to make myself really good at it because I'm just not going to be an 800-pound deadlifter, let's be real. So I've got to figure out what I can do. If it's just throwing more wob, I guess. Here's some big behind-the-neck jerks today. So worked up 5 sets of 1 from 140 kilos and did 3 kilo jumps up to 152 kilos. So haven't had that weight overhead in quite some time. Pretty happy with that stint there. And then actually did some wave loading on power cleans. I did 6 sets of 1, went 130, 135, 140 on some waves. So that's probably what this is and or gets out of order. That looks like 135. So I know this is going to be boring listening to me talking about training, but hopefully you guys enjoy this. And there is no sound here on this if you've listened to this far and watched some of this stuff. One thing I did is save this video, put all the clips together, edited them, and then saved it, and then re-uploaded it and muted the entire video instead of having to go through and mute every single individual freaking clip. It just takes forever, and that's one thing I want to get back to doing weekly and a lot more frequent updates like this instead of training coverages because this video takes so stupid long to do. And I'm just not, I don't do it for that. So Saturday the 15th had an insane 3-alarm fire at work. I was driving the truck, and it was downtown for the St. Patrick's Day Parade. It was first thing in the morning. Huge fire. Definitely a lot of coverage on that one if you look up Charlotte, Moorhead Street fire or something like that. So that was a pretty interesting day. Got in on this day. What you're seeing clips of were front squat deload for 2 sets of 4 at 140 kilos, some weighted pull-ups. Skipped my pause squats, did some Z press, some arms and stuff like that. Here's your Z press. I hadn't been doing Z press, so just worked up. And that's why you see all the weird little plates on there. And then those clean high pulls were in the very beginning. Clean hang high pulls, kind of in my head mimicking pulling on a caber as best as I, here's that. So it's out of order. That's kind of my idea. I'm not a fan of a clean grip high pull, to be honest. I just don't think it mimics very, very well. So here's the deload front squats. Really happy that a deload is at 140 kilos. Like, good job, dude. Like, proud of myself. So yeah, this should be some good footage coming up next. So the 17th, Monday, March 17th, hit back squat sit sets at 2 at 405, felt good. Hit a single at 365, and my knees were a little pissy as a note I had, and smashed some inverse curl. But before that, was out here throwing shot put. Actually threw a personal best here at Charlotte Firehouse 1. Hit fulls and MSA, so you kind of saw a little bit of both there. The MSA is where I hit the PR. I don't know which video it is and or if I even included it because there was a ton of throws, and I just edited. I picked some of them, honestly. I didn't put every single one in here. I want to say I was probably somewhere upwards of 25 throws, including the full and MSAs. what this allow, and one of these goes further than I ever had. So there's cracks out there. I know how far I've thrown with there's a crack and a drain way out there, and I kind of throw right here in front of our bay. And so, yeah, there's probably some fouls in there, but this was just one of those days that is feeling good. I don't think I'm going to go with the full spin. I think I'm going to actually use the full spin as a training aid for the MSA, and it's a little weird and a little backwards. Oh, here's the day. All right, so this is where sometimes things go a little awry. After that, this day, these power snatches, I don't know what I did, then I was stupid and kept going. You probably see some wincing and some movement. There it is, moving to that left shoulder. So I had power snatch EMOM, 12 by 1 at 100 kilos, and something in there, I tweaked that left shoulder, and I just kept doing them, figuring, it's just a little tweak or a little feeling funny. I need to, just whatever. Then did behind the neck power jerks, which weren't heavy, so I was able to, it felt the same. Now I had the Denny rings, but did them on this deficit because I know that the pick height is lower. And then I did hammers again on this day. And let's see if I have the hammers on this day. I do have hammer footage from this day. But tweaking that left shoulder, yeah, that was not a really good thing to do. And then being meat-headed. So that's what stopped hammer practice, is tearing your hammer callus right there in the middle of my hand. As the previous week, so a week prior, crushed it today. So we did the one winds right into heavy, light, and then we went into fulls. So one winds last week was 78-101. Today was 83-105 and a half. So better in the one winds right away. And then the fulls last week was 96-116. Today 97-118. So not a PR in the light hammer. Practice PR, not quite that. I've thrown in the low 120s before, but that heavy's a PR. Those one winds, I'm pretty confident are PRs. So liking to see number practice, and you can chase drills and hopefully they improve your fulls. And it's not always, a lot of things I practice, even when I'm doing my fulls, are not necessarily just trying to throw it as far as I can, even though there is a lot of that, but I'm working on a specific cue. I'm working on a specific little thing. So I have to kind of put the pieces together. I'm going to do a quick stop on recording so that I don't lose my entire voiceover, and we'll keep watching some hammer. So hammer practice, finding a field again has been nice. And, I like throwing this time of year. Like right now, I'm throwing in the shade because it is the evening, which is nice at this location. Especially helps with the sweat and the tacky and all that. So I wonder what footage I have next, and I don't know, to kind of jump ahead, which is nice because I'm over halfway done with this video. Hooray. And I noticed on that one, looking at the hand, knowing that callus is tearing. So the next day is day at Wesley Chapel. We had shot put. I did shoulder rehab and shot put. That was one of the two of the things I wrote down. And I love always, every time I put in some sort of fail or a miss video, I've been trying to do that more often to show that they're not always highlight reels. Stuff going on. So I had fulls. Once again, another day with the shot put, I took a lot of throws and working different things. I noticed kind of starting with these fulls from a static works better for me than winding up. So here's kind of static. And they don't look half bad, but when you get on grass and you get with a different stone that doesn't tuck amazing, it's hard to replicate this over and over and over again. And so right now in 2, they're going close to the same, but I still think my MSA is consistently farther. But like I said, I think using this, using the full as a training, it's learning to kind of sweep that right leg through and really pull the left down faster. That's a good throw. So the cone, I can't remember what I put that cone out on this day. What I try to do is put that cone a little to the left to try to make myself throw all the way through the throw. And here's my version of Braemar, which obviously is not working very well anymore. I've got to do something. My Braemar is One that hurts me, and I've got to figure out just what to do. I have to train it different. I've got to do something to improve my Braemar throw. I've never been that good. This is a 25-pound med ball, so just trying to generate as strong a push from a static start. Here, trying to feel separation and really feel a hard push. Also did some med ball throws, some overhead med ball throws, just trying to do something dynamic. And obviously didn't trim that video. And now we're out of order again. Back to more MSAs. And I mentioned on that cone there on those, trying to force myself to finish through the throw. A lot of them blow out early, and it comes from like opening early and not staying wrapped, and jumping too much and not really getting all the way through a throw. And I struggle to do non-reverses. That would be another way to work on that. Didn't have video from my pause squats this day. Didn't do a ton. Skipped my hip power snatches because that shoulder was pissed, but did some RDLs, which I hadn't done in a while. So 2 sets of 5 at 335. Now on the next day, I actually did video the bench. Kind of dumb. Shoulder, I did nurse that shoulder. I didn't do much else. Bench with the slingshot, nothing crazy, like a 3-2-1. Nothing crazy heavy either. Hanging leg raises, some grip and stuff like that. Now we move on to Friday, the 21st, and we have some throws, and wow, more not editing footage. That's why this thing's so stupid long. 49, threw it for weight over bar. I think I cleared 15 or 15.6-ish is what I have ish written down. I can't remember if I cleared it or not when I wrote this down even. Or I might have cleared it and just not had it on video, or it's one of those like it knocked the bar out of the way, so would it have gone or over or not? Through the short chain 49 and the lightweight. So the short chain 49, so aka the wob weight here, just basically didn't change the chain. Threw it 38-ish, whatever. Hopefully, I would like to see that correlation with the short chain 49 be the same distance I throw the long chain 56. So the long chain obviously is going to have a longer orbit, so it'll move faster, but it's obviously heavier and therefore slower. So will it line up with the same distances I'm throwing the short chain 49? I can move faster with the short chain 40 with the 49, obviously compared to the 56. But I mean, if I throw the short chain 49 really good, if I'm throwing it 40, maybe I can throw the 56-40. I don't know. I think it's there. I've just got to connect it. I mean, I really don't think it's there. My best ever is 39.3. I've thrown a couple games in the 38s, and I still feel like I have it there. I feel like I'm a better thrower now than I was then when I hit those numbers. But it's just not there. Whatever reasons. Good chain, good handle, good field. Kind of and I have a note here, once again, wrote the word meh down in the lightweight. And sometimes that comes down to like being fatigued just after throwing other things, throwing lightweight last. Just not a good day. Just sometimes they're not always that way. So we have below the knee block power clean. So change in variation in this block of training. If you kind of notice, this week is kind of the middle of a block, a little bit different than everything was the prior couple weeks at the beginning of March. This is the last block that leads into my first games of the year in Loch Norman. So we are really kind of in like week 2 of this, maybe really week 1. It was a weird kind of a 3-week block. No, you look at deloads. I didn't have a lot of deload in there. Some things were deload and others weren't as much. But this one was below the knee block clean, 4 sets of 2, 120 to 135 kilos. So kind of worked my way up because I hadn't done it, this variation. Then some front squats after that, 6 sets of 3 from 100 up to 150 kilos. So once again, kind of like a feel it out. Remember I said earlier in the week, my knee was a little funky. Little beat up in this week, in this middle of these blocks at this time frame. So tweak the shoulders. And here you see I'm still going full grip on the bar. A lot of what I've done to rest the shoulder has been just not even doing this full grip. Still have to work on lat mobility, have to work on wrist mobility, probably some tricep, let's be real. And yes, this once again, these clips are out of order. So I just hope that they're at least trimmed up. And then we took Saturday, the 22nd off. I was at work, had another fire, which is cool, always for me. I put literally notes that said shoulder and knees still janky, slight strain in the right low back the day before doing those front squats and cleans. Or I said during cleans, just a little weird tweak, like pulled funny. And we're going to move a lot forward. So Sunday, the 23rd, I did rear foot elevated split squats and abs. So nothing really. And then my back was tight on the 24th. Did a day, though. Went out and worked on the farm I hunt on. And then the 25th. So I had a few days off there in a row. And you would expect, hopefully, some recovery. But had a really shitty throwing day right here. My notes were wob sucked, short chain meh, lightweight not great. And realistically, the numbers were not that far off, but obviously the best throws of the day. And just watching that, I was slow. And I can't remember what I would specifically be working on this day. And that doesn't look like the short chain 56. Maybe that's long chain. But maybe I just read it down wrong. So yeah, just nothing insane on this day in terms of throwing. Just one of those days. They're not always going to be great days. They're not always going to be bad days. Obviously, wob sucked, but maybe, and that probably, honestly, what it might be is when wob sucks and then you go to throw your weights, just the mindset, your head's not going to be in the right headspace for you to try to have a great training day and great throwing day otherwise. And that's happened to me a couple times before, is I let something get kind of in your headspace and you have to not let that happen and be excited. And yeah, I think I do remember this day. Not a lot of volume in the grand scheme of things, just because things weren't going great. And I'm at a different point in my career that, there's some days now that I'll cut things short because I don't want to ingrain bad habits. I don't want to let it get with me mentally. I want to be having fun and be excited to come out and throw. And I'm not going to lose it just by missing one day of practice. If I cut things short and say, it's not there that day, maybe come back the next day, and the next day it might go phenomenal. Now, it looks like the lifting went really well, and I'm probably had some, oh, wow, one turn. What the hell was I doing? It was probably just trying to get back on track with something, and I still fouled it. And there you go. I saw it shaking that left arm. Like my left shoulder that I had tweaked was feeling funny in these throws, like swinging it. So, yeah, I don't remember going to one turns. I don't remember this day. Wow. Well, there's you a twist. Gosh, I don't know when this throw is either. It's a different shirt. So let's talk about it. I don't know what day this is. This might be a later April day. We might run out of training footage. But before I end up the month, had another day, the 26th, March 26th. Hip power snatches, 7 sets of 2, nothing crazy there. Instead of the full snatch, doing the power snatch. Had some box jumps, some behind the neck jerks that went okay. Clap push-ups, RDLs, kettlebell swings, pause squats, pull-ups. Marathon day of a workout on Wednesday the 26th. But at training, we're doing extrication training, and I pulled one of these pieces of equipment off one of our trucks. Has this really heavy metal foot plate that flipped down and landed square right across my right thumbnail. Just smashing my right thumbnail. And my guess is that this footage is from March 28th. It's a Friday, these throws. Probably out throwing them again, and as you notice, no hammer. Just trying to salvage a good I had a couple bad days of weight practice. So that's my guess, is I don't have the date in front of me on the videos, obviously. But that would be my guess. But smash that thumb. I mean, horrible pain, the whole blood underneath it black. It's still now June. This happened in March, and the thumbnail is still peeling off and really weird. And I bled it twice. I took a needle through it twice in 2 different spots to try to bleed pressure off of it. Absolutely awful. But if this is Friday the 28th, and it looks like it's going to be, that's exactly what it was. Wow. Had below the knee block pulls, had front squats and some back squat. So there's a back squat at 205 kilos. Wait a minute. Or did I change what? Did I change shirts? I might have changed shirts in the same day. Actually, that's what happened. Or the videos just got way out of order there. Wow. That'd been pretty wild. Because this goes back to the back squat, 175, 185, 195, 205 kilos, plus inverse curl, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So working down to as little of assistance as possible, down to 65 pounds of assistance. Yeah, because here's the marathon day right here. This is the top weight, 155 pounds there on that bar from hip power snatch. And I forgot I did this. I wrote down seated box jumps. I was doing them with holding 30s, 10 sets of 2. So doing the power snatch paired with the jump, trying to have a little bit of contrast in there with some training. And I have more of that. So, yeah, this is going to be that marathon day. This is after smashing the thumb. It's actually a night workout. We had training during the day, so it's a night workout. I can see it's dark in the windows there. But this is about going to finish up the training montage footage. We're going to have a little bit more. I talked about that very last day. I will have some more footage there. Smash the thumb on Thursday. Friday, we have clean pulls, front squats and back squat, Husafel carry, so Husafel stone carry that day. Some slingshot bench that went pretty good. There's your behind the neck jerks right there. Boom. Worked up to 285 for 3 sets of 1. So nothing absolutely crazy. That's only 130 kilos for me. So I had just a couple little earlier in the month had done up to 152, but also that's re-racking on my neck, which is not as fun or mobility wise. But finish up on March 30th. My birthday is I hosted Pull Fest, which is a deadlift festival, I guess we'll call it, contest at the gym. It's all for fun. Celebrating the gym's anniversary. We've celebrated the 9th anniversary of Strength Empire Gym. And then I have some footage in there of deadlifting, and I feel like I moved my Husafel to that day. Actually, I didn't do it on the Friday. I do remember doing Husafel with some of the guys after. I don't have the weight I wrote down, what I worked up to that day. I think it was, I can look back, but on a little bit different spreadsheet, which is what's funny. Let's see here if I can get that to pull up. Husafel. Nope, didn't write it down either. But had Pull Fest and more throwing video. What is going on? So this must be the Friday I mentioned where I said I probably threw more trying to salvage it, but did not write it down. And that's one thing. I try to do a really good job of logging my stuff. I use an Excel spread, or I use Google Sheets because I have it on my phone and I can carry that with me everywhere. But I actually started writing the program out on a little bit different Google Sheet, so I've got to make sure I write things down on both. And yeah, I definitely struggled in that in April a little bit. So I kind of got to go when I go to do that video, kind of combine the two. But no idea how this throwing went. That shows like it went really good. I look like I'm moving all right. Sorry, at this point it's been 40 minutes and I might personally be getting a little bored of watching myself throw. I'm tired of listening to myself talk, to be honest. But I feel like this is kind of what gives you the most out of the training is me talking about what's actually going on. The volumes, the sets, the reps, the things that I'm tweaking. And if I get caught back up, the week-to-week stuff is a lot. Or even day-to-day will give a lot more insight in terms of, how am I thinking? What am I thinking? How am I feeling? And that's what I think I want to get to is I can catch myself up. I kind of want to do maybe day-to-day, which just will be different. It's a lot more video or video uploads or, putting these videos together, which is why I thought weekly was going to be best. But if I can dive a little deeper, that might end up working out better. And/or this might be pre-Pull Fest. That's when this might be. I'm not sure. But I think I did get there and practice before Pull Fest. Pull Fest, I ended up deadlifting, I think I pulled 550. And went really well. I hadn't touched any heavy deadlifts. The heaviest you guys saw were some RDLs on the 26th. I hit 355 for some RDLs, but I hadn't been doing any heavy deadlifts at all. So I didn't know how that would go and how that would feel. So happy with that result without overdoing it. Maybe had a little bit more in the tank, but no point in grinding. And then March 31st, surprise, surprise, to celebrate my birthday, a.k.a. my anniversary as well, which is on April 2nd. Leaving the day after Pull Fest, which is fun. Pull Fest is my birthday. Actually, cool footage right here. This is throwing the 14-pound weight for distance. So this is throwing the women's lightweight cleared 100 feet. And the reason I did this, and I had to throw long ways here, was trying to feel like, I threw it 100 feet. And in my head, since Kyle Lilly's thrown about 100 feet with the lightweight, I said, I've got to make my lightweight, my 28, feel like this 14. So I've got to find ways to make 28 pounds feel like 14 pounds. So yeah, I did have footage. Wow, did have way more footage than I thought. Here's some clean pulls. Why I did below the knee block clean pulls, I don't know. right before going to freaking Pull Fest? Like, Justin, what were you doing here? I'm pulling up my other spreadsheet here. Below the knot, power cleans. I didn't do those. Maybe it's that shoulder's still pissy. Did hit my shoulders and knees were pissy, I guess. But hit RDLs, hit power snatches. I'm looking through the spreadsheet just to find out what I'm doing with you guys. I don't have block clean pulls on there. Don't know why I wanted to do them. Sorry, y'all. Get like, oh, this is a really good bench day, actually, though. Man, how am I going to blow past this? Threw on some good heavy rock music. This is like 375. Might have gone 400 after this. No, stopped at 375. And here's Pull Fest numbers. Here's deadlift. That was 484. It's like 520, 530. This is 550. Obviously pulling with straps. Definitely looks like there's more in the tank. And here's that Husafell stuff. This might have been the day I worked up to 320. That's actually probably what it is because I had somebody chasing me with the pad. I know this was super long. If you guys watch till the end of this, man, you're a trooper. There's only certain breeds of people that like watching this much training footage, especially 40 minutes long. If you're like me, you probably broke this up. Maybe watch a little bit or watch it while you're eating a meal or something like that. So you guys really are fans of the training footage, and so we're going to keep doing it. I like it because it lets me give me something to go look back at as well. So this isn't always just for everyone. There's a little selfishness to it. But like I said, I was kind of talking about there. Yeah, ended up going out of the country right after the end of March. March 31st, left to go to Barbados. So one heck of a trip. Maybe recap that a little bit in the next video because most of it's in April. And we jump right into game season. Starts up in mid-April. So this kind of wraps up off-season, really, and we start really into preseason. If you count April as preseason, even though you start games, it's more of like getting into the games. Yeah, I mean, like I've kind of mentioned earlier in this video, awesome offseason to this point in the grand scheme of things. Consistency, low injuries in theory, even though there you see some tweaking, some stuff this month. It's going to happen when you're training as hard as, as hard as I can with as terrible sleep as I get. It's now June, and there's things that I'm seeing in looking back at these notes now from March and looking at this training now in March, thinking of myself in June, like, hey, I wanted to make these training adjustments. I wanted to make these adjustments. And now it's June and I still haven't made them. So maybe I really will get my ass in gear and make these adjustments now in June moving forward to see if it doesn't benefit me a little bit more. But you guys are awesome if you watch to this point. You're hell of fans for me, hell of fans for the Highland Game sport and training footages and montages. And sorry I don't have anything fancier for you guys with this. Maybe if I can get to uploading more frequently and shorter videos, I can find out how to do some more cool stuff. Keep sending your questions, comments, etc. I'm sure if you listen to this far, you have them here or there or something. So let's get rid of this video. It's long enough. Thank you guys. Signing off. See you April's video. Who knows when.